Morning guys, isn't the Philippines a beautiful country? Normally foreigners and travelers come to the Philippines, they see all those beaches, those tourist spots, and in one of my latest videos I also showed you around through Baguio City, which is a beautiful spot. If you didn't watch that video, please click that link over here, or here, or here, I don't know. But what people normally don't see on the first glance is that there is also another side of the Philippines. And I was reminded on one major issue, one major topic here in the Philippines while traveling through Clark Airfield and Angeles City. And this topic is sex tourism and prostitution. So I decided to do a short research about some question that came up in my mind, and I just want to share 5 facts with you about prostitution, sex trade and sex tourism here in the Philippines. First, prostitution here in the Philippines is illegal. The Anti-Prostitution Act, so it's a governmental document, estimated that about 800,000 people are involved in prostitution. The sex business has lots of faces here in the Philippines. There are street workers, there are girls who work in KTV bars and offer sex, and there are also call girls. So it's not always that obvious, then you might see it in Angeles City, but it's still a huge issue. Second one, colonialism contributed to sex and prostitution, sex tourism and prostitution here in the Philippines. In 1947, the former president of the Philippines, President Rojas, signed a military agreement with the US. And this agreement stated that the US would be allowed to enlarge their two military bases in Angeles City, Clark, and in Subic Bay. And up to 1950, the military base in Clark was hugely increased. It was increased from 3,000 hectares to 46,000 hectares. This is nearly the area, by the way, of Singapore. And during the Vietnam War, the sex trade and the prostitution in Thailand and also here in the Philippines increased, and Angeles City became like a mecca for sex. And of course, these developments had also a demographical impact on the city of Clark, meaning there was a lot of migration to the city of Clark and Angeles. Then, in the year 1990, a natural disaster happened. The Mount Pinatubo, the volcano near the city, erupted. And within this happening, the US military decided to back out from the country and to close the airbase. The airport became an international airport, which contributed to the fact that it's quite easy to come to Clark Airfield for sex tourism. And the third fact is, sex tourism is still a huge issue, and let me explain you why. The first reason is that the sex business is the third biggest money-making industry here in the Philippines. And beside of this, if there is any case regarding prostitution, normally the prostitutes are the ones who are arrested and not the ones behind the business. The US ambassador here in the Philippines stated a couple of years ago that about 40% of tourists entering here in the Philippines come to the Philippines for sex. This could be a number that fits to the reality. Fact number 4. Sex tourism contributes to continue the cycle of poverty. The Department of Social Welfare made a survey under prostitutes, and they estimate that about 12,000 children are born by a foreign man and a Filipino woman who is involved in sex trade and prostitution. But only 2% of the men really contributed and supported the education of their child. And it's sad to say that the circle of poverty is repeated. The Philippines is a rich country, rich in resources. A lot of people here in the Philippines depend, or at least partly depend, on agriculture. And this leads me to fact number 5. The topic of prostitution is poverty driven. There is another study which is targeting the question, why do people enter prostitution? Within this study they evaluated 6 facts why people are entering prostitution here in the Philippines. And the first one is poverty. Second one is underemployment or lack of employment opportunities, meaning people have no work, and this is exactly what I experience sometimes here in the province, that people, because of lack of work, go to bigger cities to work there. Third one is physical or sexual abuse. Fourth one, drug dependence. And the fifth one, this is an interesting also, is lack of education. People who are not educated struggle here in the Philippines to get work. So if you have the opportunity to encourage people, to encourage young Filipinos, youth, to continue their education, do it, encourage them. I still have one extra fact for you about prostitution, and this is about men. Regarding this, I found a number that about 85% of the men involved in sex business and in prostitution are between 15 and 24 years. I hope you got some new information, and if you ask yourself what to do against or about prostitution and sex trade, first of all, try to be aware of this topic, what you actually did by watching this video, and try to share the information you know and you have to others. Besides of this, there are still a couple of organizations who are doing preventional work. There are also people who are really working with prostitutes, trying to free them from this system. I'm going to put some links below in the video description. Just check it out. Yeah, consider to do something about the topic, no matter what it is. Hope to see you again next week. Stay inspired.